Excellent. Right. Well, to tell us, give us a bit of a reality check and what you can do about the reality check that we just had in the audience here. We have Iryna, Melnyk, and Shipra, Mahindra. Ships is a seasoned product leader with diverse experience with a bunch of SaaS companies. She's a principal product manager at Octopus Deploy, who are one of our amazing sponsors. Iryna is also at Octopus as a product director, and she's had over a decade of experience across a multitude of tech businesses. Welcome, Ships and Iryna.
All right. Hey, everyone. So I didn't see too many hands go up when we talked about your organization being exactly like in Marty Kagan's books, but perhaps we could dive a little bit deep into that and at least talk about some of the things you may be doing. So we're going to start with a little exercise with raise of hands. And when we ask you to raise your hand, can you please keep it up until the very end? So those of you who speak to customers weekly, please raise your hand. Fantastic. Wow, lots of folks.
Those of you that formulate hypotheses and run assumption tests, please raise your hands.
Cool. Those of you who work in a team who has autonomy to decide what they're working on next, raise your hand.
Oh yeah, some dissent there. And those of you who have seamless, collaborative, strong relationships with other functions like sales, marketing, legal, support, please raise your hand.
Awesome. If you had answers yes to all those questions, raise your other hand. Whoa, look at that. We have a couple of product trees, strong product trees. Woohoo. Look around the room. We don't have too many trees though, which is unfortunate. So Ships and I have worked in a bunch of places, and with 20 years of experience between the two of us, we haven't quite seen the place that ticks all those boxes. Those to us are signs of a strong product culture. And the fact that we haven't found the perfect place didn't stop us from trying to bring that strong product culture everywhere we went. And sometimes it went really well, sometimes we learned some lessons. So we're here today to share those lessons. We're gonna tell some stories from our past careers. You get stories from an individual contributor point of view, you get a story from a manager point of view, you get a story from an early stage startup, a scale-up, and a mature organization. And aside from the sizes and stages of growth of those organizations, there are various stages of maturity of their product culture. So our hope is that no matter where you are in your career journey, in the context you work at, you're going to be able to walk away with some practical tips you can start implementing in your day-to-day lives. We believe that there are 3 key elements to strong product culture. They are empowerment, customer insights, and strong cross-functional connections. And those are the things that we're going to have as threads through each of the stories we tell today.
The first story today is from Octopus, where we're working today. And Octopus is a scale-up. It helps software engineers deploy their code to production in a safe, reliable, and secure manner. We believe it's probably the strongest product-led culture that we've come across so far. And because of it being a scale-up, we've had opportunity to build that over time. I joined Octopus about 3 years ago, and our handbook says that we work in a high-trust environment and we're empowered to do the best work of our lives. I was really, really excited because I'm a senior PM at that point, and I'd love a lot more autonomy to drive the product strategy. So I'm like, this is going to be great, lots of autonomy. And I realized, joining in a few days in, I'm surrounded by software engineers building for software engineers. And they were very much the domain experts and didn't really need much help figuring out what to build next. They were very capable of making some of the product decisions. Whereas I was still learning the domain, was new to still kind of figuring out this DevOps thing. And that's when sort of this imposter syndrome started to kick in. And I'm like, is this really the right fit still? Ugh. A few months in, we had a controversial decision that came up. Should we build the runbooks feature set next or a variables feature next? You don't have to know what they are. And the team and the company was very much set on building the runbooks features next. In the meantime, I was getting to know our customers, doing interviews, understanding their needs and pain points very deeply. The team was engaging through all of that too. They came to a lot of that, asked curious questions. And after around about 20-ish interviews, we realized that actually, if we didn't build the variables feature next, we would very much be putting the adoption of the whole feature set at risk. And so it became clear to me that the things that I know are help the team challenge their biases and help them make the right decisions. So that's how, through the interviews, we changed our minds. There is also value in not knowing the domain. So asking lots of silly questions, bringing in a different perspective to the process. And at Octopus, we have lots of good ideas, but figuring out what to build next and also the sequence is really important to drive the right product outcomes. And this is where bringing that customer voice to inform that decision-making is something I can do really well and help us as a company, not have a pile of unused features. 3 years later, I'm now a principal PM leading a strategic mission to define our next differentiator. And a lot has changed. So let me walk you through that. First, when I joined, we were very much an engineering-led culture. The folks were building their ideas and features and moving on to the next shiny thing. And we were waiting for feedback. In fact, we got away for a long time because of that domain knowledge, just building a really successful product. But today, we have 15 product folks who are growing and making an impact at Octopus. Please say hi to a few of them. They're studying around about this area, actually. And we've transitioned into a product trio model. We lean heavily into understanding the problem first, and then using that to drive outcomes. And we continuously seek feedback to inform our decision-making. At the center of all of this lives that product trio model. What that means is we have a product manager, a design leader, and an engineering leader, all jointly accountable for the success of the product as well as the health of the team that they sit with. They bring that balanced view, so across customer voice, business outcome, and technical expertise to inform our decision-making. In fact, we actually go ahead and replicate this trio model throughout our organization design at the group level, as well as the VP level. So all executive decisions have that balanced view, and we're making the right investment choices and strategic bets going on as well.
Building product culture at Octopus definitely didn't happen by accident. There was a lot of work that gone in there from product folks, from all the leaders in the organization. Scale-ups are actually fantastic places for improving product culture because every once in a while, perhaps once or twice per year, we find that some of the ways of working we had just don't work anymore. Perhaps we grew our organization or we grew the number of customers drastically. And so every time we have to reinvent our ways of working, that's a perfect opportunity to bring in new product practice. And aside to that, we have some really strong foundations at Octopus. It's top-down, strong executive buy-in. We want to be in product business. We don't want to be in a services business. We're building for mass market. We're optimizing for long-term, profitable, sustainable growth over growth at all costs and just meeting the numbers of the next quarter. Our organizational design follows our product strategy. That means that most of our teams can achieve their outcomes without a lot of dependencies and develop deep understanding of the part of the customer journey, their experience, their pain points and needs. And also we organize our product folks in a way that helps them focus on where they have the most impact, the strategic work. So delivery is owned by engineers. They are excellent at this. They fully own it. And when we set product teams up to win, when they are empowered, well, how do we actually do that? What does it look like? Of course, we want them to be outcome-oriented. And so for us as leaders, we use an artifact that we call the mission pitch. Now, mission is a funny word. It can mean so many different things in different contexts. So I'm just going to walk you through how we use that word and what the artifact is. This basically is a high-level strategic bet that the team is going to be pursuing. And so the mission pitch outlines the why behind the investment, the goal that we want to achieve by making this bet. There is the diagnosis part that articulates what is standing in a way between where we are today and where we need to be. There is the high-level guidance on how we're gonna, tackle the challenge. There is investment. Now, we are not VCs, so we don't talk about money. We talk about the size of the team and duration in terms of quarters. How much are we willing to spend to try to solve this problem really well? And like any good strategic document, it also outlines the things that we are not doing, the guardrails. And it's also important to call out that when we talk about direction here, we're not talking about the list of features we're going to build or solution ideas. We're giving really high-level guidance. It can be things like the type of customers we want to focus on, the categories of problems that we want to solve for them, etc. I'm going to walk you through an example adapted from a mission pitch one of our teams had. So our ideal customer persona has evolved. Octopus was growing. It was being adopted by large global enterprise customers. Really exciting. And with those large enterprise customers come really large workloads. So we set ourselves a goal for those customers to be able to execute 1,000 deployments concurrently. If they were to try to do it at the time, there would be performance degradations, there may be even failures. That's not a great experience. In order to tackle that, we identified that we needed a resilient and scalable backend. We funded that with a team, and we said, front-end scalability was a non-goal. There was a separate team with a separate mission focused on solving that. Unfortunately, once we have the teams fully set up and empowered, they have their mission, I can't go to Hawaii for 6 months. My work is not done. What I need to do is continuously ask myself this question. Am I confident that the team is set up to win? Every month, every few weeks, I need to keep asking myself that question. And if I don't feel confident, it is my job to go and help fix that. And so when I think about the confidence, I think about, am I confident in the mission of the team? Is this still the most important contribution my team can be making to the success of our customers and success of our business? Has anything changed in the market or the business context? Do I have the confidence in a high-level plan that the team developed to achieve their mission? Has the team identified and set up leading indicators for success? And are they tracking that? Have they identified the product risks? And have they identified the riskiest leap of faith assumptions and started testing those? And I also think about the execution pace. I think about the pace of learning, and I think about the pace of delivery. And if those are not looking great, it probably means, perhaps the strategic direction is not that clear to them after all. Or perhaps there is some misalignment in a team, and they're not all pulling in the same direction. There are a few learnings along the way of us implementing these ways of working. I was excited to set empowered teams up, give them outcomes, give them high-level problems. And I very quickly learned that too much autonomy can be a bad thing. So now we really pace according to the maturity of the team. The teams with more experienced product folks will have broader mission scopes. The teams with new PMs will have more narrow mission scope at which they can win very quickly, and then we can start broadening the scope. Relentlessly working on clarity, and that's where writing things down. So an artifact such as a mission pitch is really helpful for that. And using a longer form writing to really articulate the strategic direction does two things. One, when you start writing things down, all the gaps in your thinking, in your logic reasoning become really obvious to you. So that hurts a little bit. That's a really useful pain to experience because that means you can improve that. Then once you've written it down, you can share it for review with peers, with stakeholders, with the team itself. And they're gonna ask you a bunch of questions. Things will not necessarily make sense to them. They're gonna have their own ideas. This is all great. That means you can further improve the clarity. And one of the other learnings we had is that with all the great foundations and all the effort to set teams up to win, sometimes you still can't make it work. And this way of working may not be for everyone. And in earlier days of product practice at Octopus, we hired a few product folks primarily for their domain expertise. And this way of working, unfortunately, didn't work out for them. And this is how we bring all the key elements of strong product-led culture to our life at Octopus. And yes, we said this is probably the strongest product culture we've seen, but there is still a lot to go, a lot to learn for us.
All right, let's travel back in time, and we're going to now share two stories from our past experiences. This first one is mine. I joined an early-stage startup as a first PM with less than 50 people, and there was no product culture there yet. It was in hypergrowth mode, scaling, and things were breaking on the daily. The founder was the product person. They owned the strategy, the roadmap, and this was their baby. I was really excited to join because this was my opportunity to learn how to build a product from the ground up that's successful. A few days in, again, I had the things that I'd done was testing message copy, tooltip changes, button placement, and making small tweaks to the product onboarding flow. I was working with the team tasked with improving the activation rate. And maybe a few weeks in, we'd improved the improved the activation rate by about 2%. Not a big deal. Felt a little disheartening. I thought I was here to change the world. Okay. But, I didn't have any say in the product, and it didn't feel very empowering. In fact, even my role title was not very empowering. Who's here heard of like a product coordinator, right? No. And this spoke to the startup's maturity around they weren't quite sure how a product manager could add value, and also having a flat hierarchy, managers were just not acceptable. After a few months in, with the power of hindsight that we always wish we had, we learned that actually even that tiny 2% jumps in activation rate added up to big impact. So we'd achieved around about 20% improvement in 6 months, and that was really, really impactful for that time at that stage of the startup. And I also learned that as product managers, not everyone gets to do A/B testing and use that as an effective tool to drive product impact. So that was some invaluable experience for me later on in my career. I also learned that great founders are excellent product people. We just saw Tush do that. And your role, so in that context, the strategy and the roadmap and the vision, the long-term vision should all be owned by the founder. So your role as a product manager becomes to amplify their vision, make sure everyone in the company is aligned towards that and moving in the same direction. The other way to add value is improving that speed of iteration. How can you firstly improve the speed of delivery by unblocking your team constantly, but also improve the speed of learning? So bring in the right customer data, user data to inform the next set of decisions. In this sort of an environment where you don't really have much say in the product roadmap, how do you grow as a PM? Well, it's a startup. Everything's broken or about to break. You also don't have dedicated people to come online and help you with marketing or sales or support or data analysis. You're expected to do everything. You get that opportunity to wear multiple hats and expand your skill set. Take it, right? Grow into that T-shaped PM. Here's some examples that I did in my early days. First, I wrote up email launch campaigns and nurture campaigns, and that sort of developed a core skill around email marketing for me. I also instrumented user data analytics, which again developed a core skill around data analysis, and a few other tasks like that. Here are some examples. And I didn't just do these tasks. I actually spent time learning about it and doing it really well. I also ensured that I tied it back to the success measures of the product. As you start to pick up these puzzle pieces and become that glue, you show pragmatism, and you show that you can do whatever it takes to get things done and move towards the company's goals. And that's sort of how you start to build that trust and gain more responsibility to drive the larger product direction. Also, as the startup's growing, these people will get hired so that first marketing manager comes on board. And this is your chance to give them your Lego. By showing that you've done this, you also show that you respect their craft, you understand why they're here and what value they can add. That's instant trust and credibility day one, and sets you up for really good long-term collaboration across functions. When trying to get to know a new function, I try to think about these things. First, do I know what they do in their role and how they're incentivized? Can I help them in their role? Can I help them perform better? Can I do a thing that they do day to day? Do I understand what good looks like for their role? And can I point to industry leaders and thought leaders for their function? So try this next time you're trying to get to know someone else from a different function. From this story, I hope that you take away is that no matter what your situation, you can always empower yourself to keep growing and learning as a PM. Keep expanding your skill set. Also, bring customer insights to amplify that founder vision, and start building that cross-functional skill set to become a T-shaped PM.
Our last story that's standing between us and lunch is about a mature product, and things didn't seem what they were. Well, it starts at a local product meetup. I love product communities, so I've been going to product meetups for a while, and it's my happy place. And yet at this product meetup, I'm feeling really angry. We're talking about product practice, we're talking about the problem space, all the great topics we product people love. And yet I get this sinking feeling in my stomach. I've just joined this product company with an established product market fit, large customer base, functions like data analytics, strategy, UX research. They're all the things to help me be a successful and impactful product person. And yet, I'm tasked with launching a stakeholder's idea. In fact, the team's already built V1 and it's already been shipped. I just need to figure out how to roll it out. That didn't feel empowering at all. That didn't feel like being a product manager. And, well, I had a choice. I could continue feeling like a victim of this terrible injustice, or I could get curious, and I chose to get curious. And I thought, well, if the product thinking wasn't applied to this idea before it was launched, well, why would it stop me from applying it now? And if I were to make a decision to invest into this product idea, what would I need to know to feel confident? And those were the very things that we were talking about at our meetup. Those were the very things that our speakers and Dan was talking about as well. It's all about the problem or the need hypothesis, who the target customer is. Are they aware of the problem? Are they trying to solve it today? How important even is it among all the things they could be thinking about? And does the solution idea really address that problem? And can we make it 10x better than the alternatives? And so I started asking all these questions. As a person new to the company, I thought, well, maybe there is something I'm missing. But very quickly I found that there was a little bit of data, but mostly the answers were aspirations. And that's a good starting point. But that also meant that value was a really big product risk for this feature idea. And so without waiting for permission and hoping I would later get reimbursed for those incentives that I bought for my discovery interviews, I invited my team, went out, started observing customers use the product, learning about their needs and pain points, instrumenting the product with my team to get better data on how it was performing. And my key takeaway for you from that story is that you can gain empowerment even when there doesn't seem to be much. And empowerment can come from an individual product manager on a team. It can start with something small. It can start with feeling of curiosity. It can start with a simple question.
Cool. And for all of you, I have 3 actions that you can take on Monday in your current role at your current company to empower yourself. And the first one is take whatever feature you're working on today and write down the product outcome it's trying to drive. Lift yourself out of the day-to-day UX and technical challenges around it. Think about how does the business or the product change if this feature went live. You may already have this. Thumbs up, fantastic. Just make sure it's realistic. Reflect on, is it measurable? Do you have a timeline? Do you have the right data that you're already collecting to back it up? Next, share a customer story weekly with your team and your stakeholders. Sounds like a lot of you do this already, but it's all about bringing different variety. And so it doesn't have to be just from your interviews. It can be through customer support tickets or sales demos as well. And so bring that variety of a continuous signal so that the team and stakeholders can inform their next set of decisions. And lastly, chat to 3 folks from completely different functions that you don't know about. Build that empathy, get to know what they do. See if you can help them with a side project. And I hope that from our talk today, you realized actually there's no such thing as a perfect product-led world, culture, role, company. That doesn't exist. You can empower yourself today to be a better PM in your current role. If you found some of our examples helpful, we've put up a bunch of artifacts. Feel free to take a picture with your phone right now and scan it. It'll take you through our templates. Use them and give us lots of feedback if you like. You can reach us on LinkedIn. Thank you so much.
Let's grow some product trees.